Quite often when we work with numbers, we need to format them as currency values. For example, we might have a number like this. Imagine this is the price of a product. To display this to the user, you want to add a dollar sign here and separate every 3 digits with a comma. Or we might have a number like 0.1, and we want to represent this as a percentage value. So instead of 0.1, we want to display 10%. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to format numbers in Java. We have this class number format that is defined in java.text package. In this package, we have a lot of classes for handling text, dates, numbers, and so on. So let's press enter here. It's imported on the top. Beautiful. Now we want to declare a variable. So let's give this variable a name, currency. Now we need to instantiate this. So new number format. However, we get a compilation error here. Let's take a look. Number format is abstract. It cannot be instantiated. So in Java, we have this concept of abstract classes. So some classes are abstract and they're basically like a half-baked cake. We cannot use the new operator to create an instance of them. We're going to talk about abstract classes and why they exist later in the course. For now, remember that we cannot create an instance of the number format class because it's abstract. So there is another way. Let me show you. This class has a bunch of methods that start with get. So we have get currency instance, and when we call this method, this will create an instance of the number format class and return it. So instead of using the new operator, we're going to use this method here. This is what we call a factory method because it's like a factory. It creates new objects. Now look at the return type of this method. It's a number format object. Okay, so we call this method. Now we get the return value and store it in a variable of type number format called currency. Okay, let me temporarily zoom out so you can see all the code. There you go. So on the right side of the assignment operator, we're calling the get currency instance method. We get the result, which is a number format object, and store it in this variable. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in so you can see clearly. All right, that's better. Now this object has a method for formatting values. Once again, you can see this method is overloaded. We have multiple implementations. We can give it a long or a double or whatever. So I'm going to call this method and pass a value like 1234567.891. So we have 3 digits after decimal and a few other digits here. Now this method will return a string representation of this number formatted as a currency. So let's get that and store it in a string variable like result. And then we're going to print result on the terminal. See what we get. So we get this dollar sign. Every 3 digits are separated using a comma, and we only have 2 digits after decimal point. So this class is very handy in formatting numbers as currencies. We have another method for formatting a number as a percent, and that is get percent instance, right? Now it returns an instance of the number format class specialized for formatting numbers as a percent. So we need to rename this variable from currency to percent. Now we don't want to manually change this because there are multiple references to this variable. This other reference was not updated. So let me show you the proper way to rename objects in IntelliJ. If you right click here, you can see this refactor menu. And here we have rename. Now look at the shortcut on the right side. Unfortunately, it's not visible in my recording window, but on Mac it's Shift and F6. I always use shortcuts because they're faster. So let's press Shift and F6. Now we get this red box, and below this we can see a few suggestions for a better name. We can choose one of these or pick our own name. I'm going to change this to percent. And note that as I'm typing this, the other reference gets updated automatically. So this is very helpful. Now let's press enter. Okay, we're done with renaming. Now let's pass a different value here. So let's say we have a number like 0.1. We want to format this as a percent. Let's run the program. There you go. We get 10%. Beautiful. Now let me show you a cool technique. In this program, we don't really need this percent object because we have used it in a single place. It would make sense to have this as a separate variable if we have multiple references to it. So what can we do here? We can completely get rid of this object. So let's delete this piece of code. We're basically calling this method of the number format class. As you know, this method returns a number format object. So right after calling this method and before the semicolon, we can use the dot operator to access the methods or members of the number format object. So here we call the format method straight away and pass our value. This is what we call method chaining. We're chaining multiple methods together. So here's one method and here's another method. Now this returns a string, so we can store it in this result variable. Let me cut this expression from here and put it over here. Now we have double semicolons, so I'm going to delete one of them. All right, beautiful.